In this session, we're going to take a look at interactions at RIST and how teachers might experience them here at the school. Let's first take a look at the basics of interaction. Interaction depends on people's motivations. What motivates people to associate with one another? What motivates people to communicate with one another? Through this association and through this communication, emergent results or results of these interactions form. These results could end up stabilizing a group or society and making it safer, or it could promote change both for good or for bad. So what are these types of interactions? First one's exchange. Second one is cooperation, then competition, conflict, and finally accommodation. All 5 of these interactions could keep things together in society or in a group, or break things apart, break the interactions of people apart from each other within a group or society. And so that is why it's important for teachers here at RIST to study the results of these interactions. Exchange. This just says take an action with another person for reward or benefit. We call this reciprocity. It means that one person does one thing and the other person does something back, either for material or non-material reward or benefit. This type of interaction is completely based on self-interest. And if the cost becomes too high for one party or the other, they will discontinue or stop the action or relationship. So let's take a few examples of exchange. Let's look at dating. The male takes out a woman or a female for a nice evening out. In return, the female gives the male a second date. Friendship. Adam encourages Jimmy, and in return, Jimmy gives a heartfelt thanks. Family. The son washes the dishes. In return, the parents give him an allowance. Politics. A voter will vote for a politician. In return, that politician will give money to a program the voter might care about. Now, exchange happens here at RIST. Work, for instance. The teacher works hard and exceeds the expectations of him or herself. The school notices this and decides to award a certificate to him or her. Lessons. A teacher plans interesting exercises for his or her students. In return, the students pay attention. Grading. The teacher provides good comments on the student assignments and notes. The student ends up scoring better next time. Leadership. The principal respects and encourages the teacher's work. As a result, the teacher works harder for his principal. Now, if either of these exchanges falls apart, the whole relationship between the two might also fall apart as well. The next type of interaction is cooperation. Cooperation involves a group, and that group wants to achieve a goal. And to do so, person A will help out person B, and person B will help out person A. And through this cooperation, the goal can be achieved. So, cooperation can look like a soccer game, a soccer match. The forward passes the ball to the midfielder passes the ball back to the forward shoots, the forward scores. They achieve their goal. Cooperation here at RIST. Here we require teachers to work on Atlas so that they can build their lessons. Teacher A decides he'll create the assignment. Teacher B, she decides in response she will develop a rubric that will help the assignment. Working together with these two components, they cooperate, and in the end, they reach their goal to have a better curriculum so that the students can learn better material in easier ways. A third type of interaction is competition. Competition also involves a goal. However, competition has one goal, and only one person can get it. Person A will want that goal. Person B wants that goal. Now, as long as there's established rules, this is a great opportunity for advancement, both for the person who's trying to get it, but also the competition that comes from trying to get it. The other person who may not get it will still improve his or her abilities. And so the group benefits overall out of this competition. Now, this can create stress, inequality, and could even lead to conflict if taken to extremes. So, competition. This year is a president race in the United States. So there's several people who want to be president. Already there are two candidates that will vie for November's election. So there's one goal and only one person can get it. Mitt Romney is one person going for the presidency. The other person is the current president, Barack Obama, also trying to achieve the presidency. So, as long as they obey the election laws, the best election campaign will win. Now, during this time, there might be arguments, there might be unfairness, and if election laws are broken, it could break down and lead to riots and violence. So, here at school, if there's a new position open, say a coordinator position, and you as a teacher want to get this, there's only one position, and there's several candidates. Teacher A wants it, and Teacher B wants it. Now, as long as the interview process and guidelines are open and fair, the most experienced, the best qualified, and the best interview performance will most likely win the position. Now again, this can cause some problems. There can be nervous and anxiety between the teachers and within the teachers. A person not as familiar with the process or guidelines could feel unfair or feel like the process was unfair. And the loser could feel resentment and speak bad about others, which could cause conflict down the road. So conflict is sort of like competition, only the bad form. There is a goal, however, there are no rules. The goal can only be won by one person, person A or person B. However, at some point, person A decides to get the goal, person A will just go ahead and hurt person B. Either try to control person B so they can't get the goal, oppose person B, or harm them. Either way, all three can lead to pain and resentment that could further conflict between the two and others. And no longer is the goal important. So conflicts can arise through wars, group disagreements, legal problems, and religious politics. They can begin often as competition between various people or various groups. But when the rules break down, the goal is no longer important. What the goal becomes is to hurt, oppose, or control that other competitor. Now, this can create group loyalty, which it can be a good thing sometimes and also can be a very bad thing at other times. It can also promote change. Again, the change, if the conflict comes from an injustice, the change can be a very good thing. But if the conflict comes from jealousy, hurt, anger, it can also lead to even more serious conflict. So let's take a look at business conflict, possibly. Let's say the goal is to make more money from the company profits. So the company makes more profit, and the manager and the workers, they want a bigger share of that profit. Well, the management decides they're going to give themselves a bonus because they think that they can get away with it. However, they don't give any increase in income to the workers. And as a result, the workers see this as too great of an inequality. It's not fair for the workers. And so they give up on the goal. The goal is not as much as important because the rules have been broken in their eyes. And so they decide to oppose the management. And so they go on strike. They protest against the management. The management feels the loss of money, of course, and they also don't look kindly on this. They have bad feelings about these workers striking and protesting. So they give up. And now the goal is no longer there. For the management, the goal becomes to control the workers by calling in the government or the police. If the workers see this can escalate problems, and they could go to try to harm the management. They can cause riots. They can cause financial problems for the management, and even violence against the management. So here at school, there has been previous conflicts that have been sort of similar and could happen if we did not watch out. Of course, education is to help students learn, but also education in a sense is you need to create a profit or at least break even. So older teachers obviously want to be paid their wages, and administrators also want to get their wages, but the school is losing a lot of money. And so the administrators see a way of lowering the costs of running the school by making everyone's wages the same, whether you're an old teacher or a new teacher, or become much similar in rate and pay. So all the teachers receive a similar rate and pay. Now, older teachers realize that they are losing money, and they feel this is an unfair treatment. They're not getting their share, or they're not getting part of the goal that they're looking for. So they give up on it. And they feel this way because the rules are broken. So they start to oppose the administrators. They send out mean emails, and they encourage parents to protest here on campus. The administrators don't like this at all and feel like they need to control the situation, so they suspend the teachers. Now, the teachers, of course, don't like this and decide they're going to harm the administration, not physically, but they're going to harm their reputation. They're going to write bad blog reviews. They're going to write bad articles in the newspaper and also call TV stations about the bad news at the school. The school receives, of course, a bad reputation, but also, because of the conflict, the teachers lose their job. So, what happens when there's conflict? There is a process of avoiding and resolving conflict, and it's called accommodation, our fifth and final interaction. There's compromise, and compromise is people who give something up in order to have an agreement. There's truce, which just means that the conflict stops to wait for a compromise. There's mediation, and mediation is when a third person helps the two people agree. They counsel. So the counselor talks to the first person, talks to the second person, and the first and second person can then come to an agreement with the counselor's help. Finally, there's arbitration. And arbitration is when a third person forces two people to agree. Instead of a counselor, it's a judge, and the judge decides who's going to do what and how. So let's take an example of a married couple. So the married couple, they need a compromise, which means they have to come to an agreement. Both of them want time to see some friends during the week. Both people need to give something up in order to do this. So both compromise. The father stays home on Thursday while the wife will go out with her friends, and in return, the mother will stay home on Friday so the father can go out with his friends. Truce. Let's say that the couple have a disagreement about buying a house. The husband does not want to buy a house, and the wife does. The husband says there's not enough money. So they decide, okay, we're going to stop this conflict. We can't solve it. We'll talk about a new house when the savings hits a certain number that we both decide upon. So the married couple has called a truce. Mediation. Let's say the married couple cannot agree to have children. They need counseling. So they bring in a third person to help them agree. So the counselor talks about the issues and finds out that the wife doesn't want the child because she doesn't want to lose her body the way it is. Of course, the father does want the child. Through negotiation and talking with the three people, they decide that the couple will agree to adopt a child, and both can get what they want. Arbitration. This means there's a judge involved. And let's say the couple is getting divorced and cannot agree about how to share what they own. So they try to go to a counselor, it doesn't work. They have to go to a judge. The judge is a third person, and that person forces the wife and the husband to agree on what he decides. The judge decides, wife gets the house, husband gets the money, and both share custody of the child 50-50. No questions asked, the judge decides. So let's revisit our conflict at RIST. Old teachers trying to get the profit from the education, as well as the administrators trying to balance the budget. The school is losing money, and the salaries need to come down, so they make the salaries fair for all teachers. This means the old teachers lose money, they stop going for the goal, they start sending out mean emails, administration retaliates, teachers are suspended, the goal is no longer valid, and of course the teachers write blogs and reviews that are poorly reflecting on the school loses bad reputation, and of course the teachers lose their jobs. Let's look at what would happen if we had accommodation. The solution would be compromise, truce, mediation, or arbitration. Compromise, the old teachers can talk to the administrators directly instead of sending out emails, and admin could decide to cut only parts of the teacher's salaries and also find cuts elsewhere. This would mean that the teachers keep their jobs and the school keeps the reputation. Truce, the old teacher stops telling lies and sending out bad emails. The admin agrees to wait for the cuts for a time being. The result is still unclear, depending on how it turns out after the truce. Mediation. A third party is called in, outside priests. They negotiate with both parties. Through negotiations, both parties agree that the cuts will be smaller, but yet the cuts are needed to be made. Again, teachers keep their jobs and the school keeps reputation. Now, if mediation didn't work, it would have to go to arbitration, possibly. And the Thai court or judge decides that, okay, the teachers, they don't get their job back, but the school does have to pay some money to the teacher. Now, as a result, the teachers lose their job, but they gain a little bit in pay. And again, the school loses their reputation in the public sphere. So this is how the 5 forms of interaction can be shown and also can be expected in a teacher's life here at RIST.